Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So this is a sewing video. I have made a sweater dress, which obviously is far too big to actually be able to see on the screen when I hold it up like that. Basically like every other single thing possible. So I will insert a picture here. So, I wanted a sweater dress. I kind of wanted a dress. I wanted it to be like warm and snuggly. We're heading into, well, it's now officially autumn. It was still summer when I made the dress, but I was doing it in prep, in advance of the autumn winter weather. I just wanted something like warm and snuggly and cozy. I like the idea of it being like a sweater dress that's a little bit like looser fitting, but I did go online and look at about a million different sweater dress patterns and styles and couldn't really find one that I liked. They all either seemed like really super shapeless or a little bit too like fitted, or like because I wanted some like really like nice thick chunky fabric, like very like cozy, and they all looked like maybe they were made with like a thinner jersey fabric. Anyway, so I ended up buying the Paprika Jasper dress pattern, and it comes with two different neck options. Well, one is a hood and one is then like a sort of cowl neck with like a button bit that kind of holds the cowl in place, if I'm describing that in any way that makes possible sense. But then it also had an add-on option, so they have like a new neck style option, which is the neckline that I actually use, which is this kind of fold over, maybe this is the cowl neck actually, in which case I don't know what that button neck is called. The button neck. This is the neckline, so it's has like, it stands up quite high, but then you would wear it more folded over like this and look a little bit slouchy, and I thought that just looked like cool and fun and casual. So I bought the bundle, which gave you the original pattern for the dress with the hood and the other buttoned neck, and then this as like an add-on. I don't think that this is the dress pattern that I actually wanted ultimately. I always do this thing where I spend ages and ages and ages planning and looking and trying to be really like careful so I don't buy the wrong thing, and then the thing that I ended up buying was kind of on a whim almost, because I just exhausted myself by looking at too many patterns, and then I don't think it is the right one for me. I don't think the fit is quite right. The dress, so the pattern has a sweater option, and it has, the add-on has the kangaroo pockets, but then there's also another pocket option as well. And like I said, you can do the sweater or you can do the dress, but the dress that they have is more of a tunic dress to wear with leggings, which wouldn't really be long enough for what I want. So I actually extended the pattern. Stupidly, I thought I was being really clever. And instead of extending the pattern by just adding some extra onto the bottom of the dress, I actually found the line in the pattern where it says like lengthen or shorten here, and I added the extra amount in there. Now that is really more for when you want to, I think, lower or higher the waist point of the jumper or dress. And so what I basically did was I lowered the waist point down quite a few inches, which gives me the overall extra length that I wanted, but it does mean that the narrowest point of the dress has been extended and the widest point has been dropped lower. So like the hip line has been dropped lower. I don't actually think that caused me any problems, because I made the dress in definitely a size too big, but it is too big on the top half and it is a little bit snug around my hips. And I'm thinking that me dropping down the widest point hasn't actually made that any worse, because it is actually a little bit snug right at the bottom of the dress. Obviously I just extended the dress down, and that might, and instead of like flaring it out a little bit more, so maybe I just needed to add a little bit more width to the bottom as well when I extended it in length. But also I think I just made it in the wrong size. So they have their own size, and I think I did a size 4 based on my measurements, but actually I probably could have done with a 3 or even a 2 in the top part, like around my chest, and then definitely a 4 or even a 5 in the bottom half, but possibly I just need to add a little bit of width on rather than actually making it a different size. So possibly if I made this again as a dress, I would just make the top part a size 3, grade out to a size 4, and then just add the length and a little bit of extra width onto the bottom of the dress rather than in the middle. That didn't sound too complicated. But yeah, the dress was too big, quite a lot too big. So I did actually, I think maybe I've still got it, yeah. I did actually have to go back in to my side seams at the top and just remove, like, you can sort of see the second line that I've sewn in. So that's how much I've taken out. Definitely at least an inch, if not more, but on both sides. And it is still a little bit bigger up top. The problem with this one though is, in terms of adjusting it, is that it has a front and then it has side panels. Totally can't see this. It has side panels here and then it has the back piece. So when I was adjusting it, I was having to adjust it down the, I think they called it the princess seam. I can't remember, they called it something. And that made it kind of weirdly bunchy there, so I had to go back in and take a little bit more out of this seam because it was like, I don't know, there's just a bit of extra fabric there, and then that's kind of, there's a little bit of a tuck now there. It's really, really tiny though, you can barely see it, but yeah, it's just not, like, it was just a bit awkward. Like, it was definitely the wrong size and I definitely needed to take it in, but because of the way the pattern is constructed, it made it a little bit harder to just take in the side seams as you would if it was just front and back. The actual construction though of it's a simple, straightforward pattern. There's no fastenings, which is nice. I do love it when there's no fastenings. I left all the seams raw, basically. This fabric is not going to fray. I did the kangaroo pocket and that worked out fine, although that was another problem with me, the way that I extended the pattern and made it longer. Because I made it longer in the middle, the kangaroo pocket didn't fit where it should have fit because I've made it it's like too thin in the middle now. So I've had to move the kangaroo pocket down a little bit so it sits like a little bit lower than it should, which is a little bit odd, but it's not really a problem. I'm not really going to use it for anything other than like sticking my hands in there on a cold day. Because I think if you put anything in there, it would hang a bit awkwardly. They're a bit weird, kangaroo pockets, aren't they? Anyway, so it's been a mitigated success. It's definitely wearable. It definitely is like warm and snuggly. I actually made it and then we had like a heat wave in the UK. The weather went really summery after a really rubbish summer. It is now today absolutely chucking it down with rain. It's like, it's not super cold outside, but definitely like the warm weather of the last couple of weeks, the sunny weather has gone and it's now just really rainy and grey. So it is getting on to the right kind of weather to wear this, but I haven't actually properly worn it because it's not been cold enough. But I think I will be able to get a lot of wear of it just around the house. I just don't think the fit is quite right for going out. The other issue I have with the fit is that when I raise my arms, the entire like dress goes up, which is really irritating. I was looking at it online and the suggestion seemed to be that that's because the armhole sits too low, and then when you move your arm up it pulls the whole side of the dress or garment up, and so you could put like a sleeve gusset in to create a bit more space. I am not going to go back into this and make a sleeve gusset, but it is just something to bear in mind for me in the future, that with this pattern that might be something to think about if I wanted to make it again. It's just, again, with it having this like side panel and the front and back, the sleeve is attached to all three pieces, so if you're then creating like a gusset, where do you put the gusset and how do you, you know, making changes to the pattern is a little bit more complicated because of those side panels. Quick word on the fabric that I used. It is this light grey sweatshirting fabric from Minerva, so it is kind of like a melange grey, where you see like the light and dark grey coming through, and then on the inside it is like really, really soft and snuggly sweatshirting. It's polyester because I didn't want to spend loads of money and I needed a couple of meters of it, so I got the polyester, but it just feels really like warm and snuggly, and it's fine that it's polyester, not everything has to be cotton. it just feels really soft, and it does feel quite nice. And like I said, it is not going to fray, so all of my seams are just left raw, and then, you know, that's fine by me. And it finishes quite fine, it finishes quite nicely and looks like quite nice from the outside. I did think it was going to be a slightly darker grey. I wasn't sure what colour to go for, and I went for grey, and I thought it was going to be a little bit darker than this. My boyfriend says it makes me look like I'm in a cult, which is nice. So that's another reason why it might be like an around the house one, and not because it makes me look like I'm in a cult, because it doesn't. It would be a very like soft cuddly cult if it did, but just because like the colour isn't necessarily my like I don't know, it's not necessarily my favourite, even though I did pick it because I kind of more worried about it getting dirty with it being so light. I did buy the same fabric but in this if I can grab it, in this like royal blue colour. It's kind of similar to some of the blue in my top right now, in this blue colour, which I think is nice. It gives you a nice pop, and this is going to be a hoodie top, hoodie jumper, and I'm looking forward to that. And I kind of wish I'd got a dress in like a nice bright blue colour, but the pattern that I'm using for that jumper is the Waves and Wild Hot Coffee sweater pattern, and that can also be extended into a dress. So it could be that if I like the hoodie, I will just try the extended dress version in another colour of this sweatshirting fabric, because again it was on the cheaper side. It was like £6.99 a metre, and we needed a couple of metres of fabric. Like, it adds up really quickly with fabric. I mean, I would love to just be buying like the really nice, expensive, high quality natural fibre fabric every time, but it really does add up, especially for making dresses and they're long sleeve. Like, you need a couple of metres every time. So anyway, that was my long ramble about the Paprika Jasper dress pattern, which I can't fit on the screen with me. Let me know what you think in the comments, and please do give a like and subscribe.